We live in a world that worships urgency. Everything is about now, fast success, instant healing, immediate results. And somewhere in that chase, we've forgotten that real, lasting, meaningful growth doesn't happen overnight. It happens in silence, in stillness, in the spaces where we feel like nothing is moving, but everything is transforming. We beat ourselves up for not being further ahead, not being there yet, wherever there is. But the truth is, everything beautiful in life is born slowly. A flower doesn't bloom the moment you plant it. Love doesn't deepen in a single conversation. Healing doesn't arrive the day you decide to forgive. It all takes time and patience. True patience isn't about waiting quietly. It's about trusting that even when you can't see it, something sacred is unfolding beneath the surface. Patience is the courage to believe that the work you're doing today, the messy, imperfect, vulnerable work, is shaping the life you've been hoping for. It's the strength to hold space for the unknown, to stay grounded in seasons of uncertainty, and to keep showing up even when the outcome is still a mystery. Sometimes the reason things are taking time is because your heart needs to catch up with your dreams. Your soul needs time to grow into the strength it'll need to carry what's coming. And when you rush it, when you force the timing, you rob yourself of the richness that only comes from the long journey. You miss the wisdom found in the wait. So today, let yourself slow down, breathe. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're in process. And good things, truly good, soul filling, life-changing things, take time. Be patient. You're becoming. There will be seasons in your life when nothing makes sense. When your efforts seem invisible, your progress feels painfully slow, and everything inside you whispers, you're not doing enough. That's the moment where trust is not a concept, but a choice. A raw, vulnerable, heart-cracking choice. Trusting the process doesn't mean you're always confident. It means you keep going even when confidence is nowhere to be found. It means you believe in the value of your effort even when there's no applause, no recognition, no visible results. You will have days when doubt crawls into your chest like a storm and threatens to blow away everything you're trying to build. On those days, it's not strength that keeps you going. It's the quiet decision to trust that your life is unfolding exactly as it should, even if it looks different than you imagined, even if it's taking longer than you planned, even if it's lonelier than you expected. Because beneath the discomfort, beneath the silence, something is shifting. You are growing into the person capable of holding the dream you asked for. We often expect clarity to come before courage, but most of the time it's the other way around. You have to move before you're sure. You have to believe before you see. That's the heart of patience. Not passive waiting, but active surrender. Showing up with love, with integrity, with presence, while trusting that the seeds you planted will bloom in their own time, not yours. It's about letting go of your timelines and accepting the one that life is shaping just for you. Because sometimes the wait isn't punishment, it's protection. Sometimes the delay is grace in disguise. When you trust the process, you stop rushing to arrive, and you start learning from where you are. You begin to realize that the uncertainty is not a problem to solve, but a space to grow. That the in-between is not empty, it's sacred. And maybe, just maybe, everything you've been waiting for is already being woven together, quietly, gently, in the background of your becoming. There's a quiet kind of heartbreak that happens when you look around and feel like everyone else is ahead of you. More successful, more certain, more put together. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparison, to believe that your journey is somehow defective because it doesn't match the speed or milestones of someone else's. But that belief is a lie. Your timing is not wrong. It's not broken. It's just yours, and it's sacred because it's shaping a story no one else could live. There is no universal clock that says you must arrive at a certain place by a certain age or within a specific number of years. The world may pressure you to rush, to catch up, to measure yourself by someone else's pace. But healing, love, growth, purpose, none of it honors deadlines. The most meaningful things in life don't arrive on schedule. They arrive when you're ready to receive them, not just externally, but internally. Sometimes life takes a little longer with you not because you're behind, but because what you're building has deeper roots. Because the version of you that will thrive in what's coming still needs time to be built. There's a quiet beauty in trusting your own unfolding, in saying, I don't need to be where they are. I just need to be where I am. You don't have to explain your timing to anyone. You don't need validation for going slow. Your life is not a race to be won. It's a path to be walked, breath by breath, with grace. And when you stop trying to meet the world's timeline, you begin to feel the rhythm of your own. Let this be your permission slip to slow down, to stop obsessing over deadlines and start paying attention to divine timing, to realize that maybe you're not late, you're just in a deeper kind of preparation. Maybe you're not lost, you're just being rerouted. Maybe you're not stuck. You're just being asked to stay here long enough to gather the wisdom you'll need later. The truth is, nothing truly meant for you will pass you by. It may take its time, but it will arrive, exactly when you are ready. And when it does, it'll feel like home, not because it came quickly, but because you waited for it with grace, trust, and deep self-respect. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that rest is weakness, that slowing down means you're falling behind, that if you're not hustling, pushing, or producing, you're wasting time. But that belief is not only wrong, it's harmful. Because rest isn't what happens when you give up. Rest is what gives you the strength to keep going. It's not a pause in your progress, it's part of the process. Just like a seed must sit in the darkness before it breaks through the soil, you too must honor the seasons of stillness that precede growth. Rest is where your body recovers, where your nervous system recalibrates, where your heart exhales after carrying the weight of so much. You are not a machine. You are a living, breathing, feeling human being. And burnout is not a badge of honor. It's a signal, a whisper from your soul asking you to come home to yourself. When you ignore that whisper for too long, it becomes a scream. And eventually, the body will force you to stop in ways that are far more painful than simply taking a breath when you need one. You are allowed to rest. Deeply guilt-free, you are allowed to put down the weight of proving your worth through constant doing. Because your value is not measured by how productive you are. It's measured by how present you are. And sometimes presence looks like silence, like closing your laptop, like saying no, like taking a nap, a walk, or a day to simply be. Rest creates space for clarity, for creativity, for healing. It is in the still moments that we often hear the things we've been too busy to notice. So if you find yourself in a season where your energy is low, where everything feels heavy and your body is asking you to stop, listen. That's not laziness, that's wisdom. That's life asking you to slow down so you don't miss the transformation that's quietly unfolding within you. You're not falling behind, you're laying the emotional and spiritual groundwork for what's next. Rest is not the opposite of growth. It's the soil that sustains it, and in honoring your need for it, you're not quitting the journey. You're simply gathering the strength to continue it with more purpose, peace, and power. We tend to celebrate the big wins, the overnight successes, the massive leaps, the loud victories. But the truth is, the most meaningful change usually happens slowly. Quietly, without applause. It happens in the small, everyday choices you make when no one is watching. It happens when you decide to get back up one more time after failing. When you choose to be kind even when you're tired. When you keep going even though the voice in your head tells you it's not enough. That's progress, and it matters. We are so conditioned to believe that unless something is fast, visible, or dramatic, it doesn't count. But that belief robs you of the truth. Healing is not linear. Growth is not a straight path. And strength is often built not in grand moments, but in the slow, steady rhythm of showing up again and again, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The day you choose to keep going at 40% instead of giving up entirely. That's progress. The morning you get out of bed and brush your teeth when depression is screaming at you to stay under the covers. That's progress. The night you cry but don't numb out, choosing to feel instead of escape. That's real, hard-earned progress. We don't honor slow progress enough. but slow progress is sacred. It means you're building something that lasts. Something with roots, because what comes quickly can fall apart just as fast. But what is built with patience, integrity, and care has the power to endure. You don't need to sprint toward healing. You don't need to rush your transformation. Every inch forward, every pause to breathe, every moment you choose hope over despair. Those are the moments that shape who you're becoming. So take the pressure off. You don't need to be at the finish line today. You only need to take the next honest step, even if it's small, even if it's messy, even if it's slower than you wanted. Progress is not measured by how fast you're moving. It's measured by your willingness to keep moving forward with heart, with courage, and with grace. And if you're doing that, you're doing beautifully. You're exactly where you need to be. It's human to want certainty, to crave a clear result after all the effort, time, and energy you've poured into something. Whether it's a relationship, a goal, a dream, or even your healing. You want to know it's working, that it's worth it. But the hard truth is that life rarely gives us guarantees. And the more we obsess over the outcome, the more we disconnect from the present moment. We stop experiencing the journey and start measuring every step against an invisible scoreboard that was never meant to define our worth. Effort is where your power lies. It's what you can control. You can't always control how someone responds. You can't control how fast something happens or whether the world sees your value in the way you wish they would. But you can control the honesty of your work. You can show up with integrity, with heart, with your full presence, even when you're not sure it'll pay off in the way you hope. That's where your strength is, not in the certainty of the result, but in the courage to keep going without one. Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care differently. You shift your attention from chasing validation to honoring your effort. You learn to say, even if this doesn't turn out how I wanted, I'm proud of who I was in the process. That shift is everything, because outcomes come and go. Results change. But the person you become through the work, that's what stays. That's what builds character. That's what carries you through. This kind of detachment is not cold or indifferent. It's grounded, wise, and deeply compassionate. It says, I trust myself enough to keep showing up, even when I don't know what's coming next. It's a practice of surrender, of softening your grip on control while holding tightly to your values, your effort, and your inner truth. When you stop needing everything to work out exactly as planned, you make space for something better. Something more aligned, more meaningful, more true to who you are becoming. And maybe the greatest freedom of all comes not from getting the outcome you wanted, but from realizing you were already enough, just by giving it your all. It's easy to believe that a setback means failure, that somehow you messed up, missed your chance, or lost your place. But what if that's not true? What if your setback isn't the end of your story, but the turning point? What if it's not a sign to quit, but an invitation to rise differently, more wisely, more whole? Because that's what real growth often looks like. It's not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to stay soft through it. To let disappointment teach you, not harden you. We tend to see setbacks as detours away from where we were supposed to go. But sometimes they're the only road to where we were meant to go. They force us to pause, to reassess, to stop living on autopilot and ask deeper questions. What do I truly value? What am I clinging to that no longer serves me? Who am I becoming through this pain? These questions don't show up when things are easy. They surface when everything feels uncertain, when the path disappears beneath your feet and you're forced to build a new one. That heartbreak, that failure, that unexpected no, it's not meaningless. It's a mirror, and in that mirror you see what you still need to heal, what you still believe about your worth. How willing you are to trust yourself even when the outcome breaks your heart. It's uncomfortable, sometimes it's devastating, but there is wisdom buried beneath every loss if you're brave enough to look for it. Not to rush past the pain, but to sit with it long enough to let it shape you into someone stronger, not harder, but wiser. Every meaningful story has moments of falling apart, and those moments, though they hurt, have the potential to break you open in the most necessary way. They make you question what you thought you needed. They ask you to choose growth over ego, humility over pride, healing over perfection. And maybe the most beautiful part, when you come out the other side, more grounded, more self-aware, more aligned, you start to see that the setback wasn't the problem. It was the preparation. It was life making room for something deeper, something more true. You don't need to fear setbacks. You need to trust that even in your unraveling, something better is being woven together, slowly, gently, in a way only you will understand when it all finally makes sense. There is nothing more quietly destructive than comparison. It creeps in slowly, disguised as motivation, but it doesn't inspire you. It drains you. It whispers that you're behind, that your efforts are inadequate, that someone else's highlight reel should be your baseline. And the more you compare, the less room you leave for your own truth to breathe, because you're not looking at your path anymore. You're looking sideways, measuring your worth against someone else's story that was never meant to be yours. We don't talk enough about how damaging it is to live in constant comparison, how it can turn your progress into a source of shame, how it makes you question your voice, your timing, your power. That's how imposter syndrome grows, by convincing you that because your journey looks different, it's less valid. But the truth is, you're not meant to be a copy of someone else's success. You're not meant to fit into a formula. You're meant to carve out something original, something deeply and uniquely yours, and that takes time. That takes stillness. That takes turning inward instead of always chasing outward validation. Joy withers when it's weighed against someone else's timeline, because joy isn't about being the best or the first. It's about feeling alive in your own story, no matter how slow, quiet, or messy it may be. The moment you let go of needing your life to look like someone else's is the moment you reclaim your power. It's the moment you start to realize that your value doesn't decrease just because someone else is shining. Their success is not your failure. Their pace is not your measure. You can cheer for others and still walk your path without shame. What you're building may not look impressive yet. It may not be loud. It may not be visible. But that doesn't mean it's not valuable. It doesn't mean it's not working. And it definitely doesn't mean you're not enough. Growth is not a competition. It's a journey. And the more you stay grounded in your own process, the more you begin to see beauty in your becoming. Not because it's better than anyone else's, but because it's real. It's honest, it's yours. There are seasons in life where nothing makes sense. You're doing the work, you're showing up, you're holding on. But the results don't match your effort. Doors close without reason. People leave without explanation. Plans fall apart just when you thought they were coming together. And in those moments, it's easy to spiral, to doubt everything, to wonder if maybe you're just not meant for the life you dream of. But this is where trust becomes more than just a comforting word. This is where it becomes your anchor. Trusting the process isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's not blind optimism or spiritual bypassing. It's not about ignoring pain or avoiding grief. It's about choosing, in the middle of your uncertainty, to believe that this moment is part of something bigger, that the delay is not a denial, that the unanswered questions are not a reflection of your failure, but an unfolding that's still in progress. Trust is active. It takes courage to stay open-hearted in the waiting. It takes strength to move forward without a map. It takes deep self-compassion to say, I don't know why this is happening, but I believe it's not the end of my story. When you trust the process, you begin to see that life doesn't move on your timeline. It moves on truth's timeline. And sometimes the things you think you're ready for would have broken you if they came too soon. Sometimes the detour is the destination. Sometimes the silence is not absence. It's preparation, the universe or life or whatever you believe in. It's not punishing you. It's preparing you, strengthening you, stretching you into the version of yourself who can carry what's next with grace and depth. This kind of trust doesn't come easy. It's earned in the days where you cry in your car, where you question your worth, where you wake up with heaviness in your chest and still choose to try again. It's built in the unseen choices to stay soft instead of bitter, to choose hope over cynicism, to take the next step even when you're walking in the dark. because somehow, deep down, there's still a flicker of belief in you that all of this, every twist and turn, every loss and lesson, is shaping something meaningful. And that belief, that's your light. That's the quiet strength that will carry you through every shadow of doubt, not because you have all the answers, but because you have faith in the becoming. In the end, remember this: good things don't arrive on demand. They unfold in their own time, through seasons of patience, faith, and quiet persistence. And while you may not always see the full picture as it's happening, know that each step, no matter how small or slow, is leading you somewhere. You are not failing because you're not there yet. You are in the process of becoming, and that process, however messy, uncertain, or slow it may seem, is exactly what you need. Trust that the timing of your life is perfect, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Trust that your effort is never wasted, even when the results aren't immediately clear. Trust that your journey is uniquely yours, and the only comparison that matters is the one you make between who you are today and who you were yesterday. The good things are coming. They are being shaped by every moment of trust, every choice to keep going, and every act of self-compassion you show along the way. So take a deep breath, be patient, and know that the life you're creating, through your small, brave, imperfect steps, is nothing short of beautiful. You're exactly where you need to be, and that, my friend, is enough.